Mr. Sahai, good to have you back on ET now. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Sahai. If I look at the numbers, what you've reported for the quarter gone by, I'm afraid the growth is nothing exemplary. It's pretty flat and muted. Why is that?
Here, for the first time when I'm interacting to you, our views are in complete contrast. What I feel that the growth is simply exemplary. Because if you just look at the number of these quarters, we grew by something like 12%. Of course, being new India, the expectations are that we are accustomed to much higher growth. But you really have to look at the environment in which we are operating. In a quarter where the industry growth is nearing something like 2-3% and New India growing at 12%, I think that by any standard it should be called exemplary.
Can you broadly tell me that what really has been the comeback for you in your business now that things are normalizing in the COVID period?
Yeah, the comeback in the business, in fact, the economy I feel that it is already up and running. And New India being the normally the first choice amongst all the customers, so we get benefited most. So and that is why, this is the reason, that is why we could perform so well. So especially in this quarter, when you look at the numbers, so as I already told you, we grew by something like 12%. In property, we grew by 18%. In health, we grew by 15%. And even in motor, we grew by 6%. Usually the motor was down in the first 2 quarters as far as the business growth is concerned. But we grew handsomely well, especially in this quarter. So we have done very, very well. But it is overall our growth and good performance is very clearly indicative of economy coming back on rails. And we hope to carry it forward and in the remaining quarter also. But there would of course be challenges. But I, in my personal belief, I believe that the worst of the COVID-19 is already over. And the way government has responded, especially with coming out with the very, very amazing budget, I would say. So as an insurer, I think as a new Indian, I think that we are going to respond very well. We are going to benefit out of it and we are going to ensure that our customers remain happy with us.
Okay. I want to broadly understand that why is that New India Insurance is not getting any large recognition from markets if I consider what the insurance sector is getting in terms of price to book and also other PE parameters. Why is that? I mean, you are growing. You do have a huge advantage of being a government company. You have a huge advantage because you also have a very large branch network. From a market standpoint, why do you think markets are not giving you your due credit?
Spend some more time with you to understand this. Look, as far as the CEO of the company, CMD of the company, this is also our responsibility. But primarily, we are concerned with our own performance. When you look at our performance over 2-3 years, we have constantly been doing very well. In fact, every quarter comes out to be better than the previous quarter. Even if you look at this quarter in comparison to previous comparable quarter, even as March, we grew in profit, we grew in business, the incurred claim ratios coming down, combined ratios coming down. So this remains a sort of a mystery. So maybe I do not know this. There could be some perception-related issues with public sector. I would really not know. But I understand it is only a matter of time. If you just see that the value is constantly increasing, the return on equity is constantly increasing from 4%, it has already gone to 10%. So I am very sanguine that in times to come, it will so happen that our actual worth will get reflected in the markets also.
Mr. Sahai, what's the outlook ahead when it comes to your growth strategy and whether or not M&A is going to be a possibility for the company, as well as what the view is on your premium growth?
My view on premium growth is that we are going to do very well because especially the first 2 quarters, of course, they were little muted. We could manage to grow only by 4% in the first 2 quarters, whereas, of course, the only solace was that the rest of the industry was flat. And again, when the industry grew by 3% in this quarter, we grew by 12%. So it is very clearly indicative that we are very aggressive. And in the remaining month, if you just look at the trend, in terms of gross business, in December, we grew by 16%. In January, I grew by 20%. In February and March also, I intend to grow by 20-25%. So we'll see to it that we'll ensure that by the time we end this financial year, we are not only number one in terms of quantum of growth. Of course, we will remain number one as far as the market presence is concerned, because market share is concerned. Because where I stand, the second player would be only half of me. Market share would go on to increase, and business will also increase. We have adopted such strategies. We have changed our strategies, and we have changed our gears also. So in the remaining 2 months and in remaining 1.5 months, we are going to push for greater business, greater profitable business. We are going to concentrate more and more on digitization. So we'll see to it that we register handsome numbers and we grow very well. And yes, I missed the part where you asked about mergers and acquisitions. I suppose I missed your voice was a little broken there. As far as mergers and acquisitions is concerned, to the best of my knowledge, New India is not in the picture.
Okay, fair enough. I hope you can hear me clearly now, but Mr. Sahai wanted to also talk about any key changes in trends as well, behavior pattern in consumers that you're noticing post-COVID, and in light of that, will you be altering the overall, any changes that you're seeing rather in your overall business model?
Business model, what I see, look, as far as this, the whole industry was moving on its own pace as far as digitization was concerned. This COVID-19 has hastened it. Like now this digitization is here to stay. So this is the biggest change in the business model, that most of the industry, most of the companies are concentrating more and more on digital methods. And the second thing that of late, which is a very happy development, that I have seen that there is a constant increase in the demand for mobility, which is going to be very favorable for motor business. And this should also be indicative of the fact, when I was telling you just a couple of minutes back, in the first 2 quarters we could not grow in the motor segment, but in this quarter we have grown by 6%. So which is very clearly indicative of this new thing which is coming in, digitization and greater mobility. And in digitization also, I would prefer to share it with you that like we used to do some 25% of our business through digital mode. Now this percentage has already gone to 27.5%. So this is both the developments are very welcome developments, and these are the changes which I see and which are there and which are there to stay.
Okay, Mr. Sahai, great to have you on the show, and thank you for speaking with us today on ET Now. We'll let you go on that note. That's the word then coming in from New India Assurance.